Today, on Locally Grown, we're joining Robin and Christine from Westerly's Prohibition Park. One of the wonderful things about living in the same area that you grew up in is that special memories can be found around just about every corner. For Christine Dehart, broker-owner of Salmon Real Estate, a trip to Prohibition Park brought back memories of her childhood, family, and community. Known today as Westerly, the park got its original name due to the ban on alcohol. At the time, the park was 25 acres and attracted visitors from throughout the island for concerts, camping, and weekend getaways. Join us while Christine takes her locally grown co-host Robin Lefkowitz for a tour of the park and a quick trip down memory lane.
Hello, everybody. This is Locally Grown, in case you were curious what you were looking at right now. And I'm Robin Lefkowitz. I'm an executive vice president with Northfield Bank.
And I'm Christine Dehart, broker owner of Salmon Real Estate.
And I am so excited to be here. You know, as we walk around, some of you might notice, but we are in Westerly Park, or as it used to be known, Prohibition Park. And the reason I'm really excited about this is because Christine is kind of an expert at Prohibition Park. She is from here. The Dehart family dates all the way back to the 1600s, but I will let her go into some history and family information, and then we'll take a walk around this beautiful park.
So, yes, I grew up here. My whole family's been, as we know, in the Port Richmond, Westerly area since the 1600s. This is where I actually grew up. This is where I played.
So you
when I was
played
a
here
kid.
as a child.
And what's really cool about that is that I grew up in the house that my father grew up in. So my father, after dinner, would take us and we'd come up here and walk around, and he would show me the best places to hide, for kick the can, and where we should play Scully up there like he did. And it was just, this is a real piece of my history. I know it's Staten Island, but this is my history, is this park.
Prohibition Park began as a 25-acre campground created in 1888 by the National Prohibition Campground Association. A short ferry ride from New York City, National Prohibition Park became a popular destination. However, true to its name, no liquor was permitted. Also banned were stables, factories, dance halls, assembly rooms, billiards, bowling alleys, and fences. By 1940, the area had been built out to its residential capacity. It remains today as a neighborhood with small-town pride and community spirit amid the sprawling urbanization of Staten Island.
It was like the town center at one point.
Yes, yes. So when my grandparents were growing up, this is where they would come for all of the community meetings or things that were going on. They would actually have concerts back then when my grandparents were younger.
Like everything else, this central gathering place changed over time, becoming quite different from the small village its founders intended. Closely spaced cottages gave way to larger homes, creating a sublime suburban community that had more appeal than the Prohibition movement. Today, this scenic spot plays an important role in the community as a site of concerts, school performances, and more.
I'm always in trouble.
So this park that used to be 25 acres is now just under 3 acres, but it is still a wonderful family park with benches and picnics and...
Well, they still have concerts here. And it's, you know, I always say, yes, I know Staten Island's part of New York City. I know that Staten Island's big and everybody says it's changing. But if you come to one of the concerts here, it's not. You know, we come, you set your chair up, and I will tell you that at least 3/4 of the people know each other. Because Westerly's one of those neighborhoods in Staten Island that really stays with itself. My father moved back to Westerly and stayed in Westerly. I stayed in Westerly. My brother stayed in Westerly. We really still consider ourselves from Westerly. So, and that's the way it is with so many people. You know, we went to PS 30 up the street, the little red schoolhouse. And we still see each other from back then. You know, and it's amazing that it's still a very small town. Where a lot of Staten Island has changed and isn't, Westerly's one of the few neighborhoods that has stayed that way.
As visitors to the campground declined, the community began to transform into a year-round residential community. The park was donated to the city in 1907 with the understanding that it would continue to be used for recreation. The Staten Island Parks Department later built the large octagonal bandstand, which is the site of concerts and events that draw upwards of 500 people.
Also, aren't there historic remnants that are scattered around the park itself?
Yes.
So
yes.
why don't we just take a quick look
Sure.
at things like that as well?
Sure.
I mean, I know that, weren't there, I'm going to say prisons, but wasn't there and maybe not, but wasn't there something that there's still, maybe the gatekeeper's home or something?
Yes.
But there's like a cellar door, something like that.
Correct.
Talk to me. What am I missing here?
What am I missing here? So, the gatekeeper's home where if you got
Gatekeeper.
in trouble,
Yeah.
so this is where you would be put when you were in trouble.
It was almost like a jail.
Into the dungeon. Dun, dun, dun.
Mm-hmm.
Here.
Wow. So yeah, you can still kind of see remnants
Yes.
of it. And I think this is so cool. You know, when you think about old Staten Island and realize that it's still the whole borough is so historic. And I know I say that all the time, but it's true. You could be stumbling through your park in your neighborhood and you date back to when things were. I mean, we looked at Conference House Park and we've gone to Alice Austin.
That's one of the good things about Staten Island is that they do preserve the old with the new.
Correct.
So here, this was a very large park that was 25 acres, now cut down. However, there are still other pieces left and available. They call Northerly Park, we called it Westerly Little Guys, but Northerly Park is just a few blocks from here, and that's where the baseball field is for all of the Westerly little guys and gals, that's what we were called, to go out and play softball and baseball. My brother was actually the first year it was started up, he was one of the first players.
Wow. So it was all one big park.
Correct.
So all of the development that's between here and that park was the development that happened in the 1940s and beyond.
Correct. And you'll see the difference if you go up a little further, like to Fisk.
Sure.
You'll see a lot of the older houses that have been here forever. Very good friends of ours that are here. They work for Rabs. They live on Fisk, and they live in one of the original houses. They actually have a plaque in front of their house. And when they went to do some renovating, they actually found the old bottles
Wow.
of
Prohibited alcohol?
because apparently you had to hide your bottles in the walls.
Right.
I might have to try that so nobody knows how much I drink.
Ha. Nah, you're fine. But now you had mentioned they did renovation. The bad thing about being a historic home is you may be registered and have to go
So
through
if
the
you
whole
are a
preservation.
registered landmark, you cannot change the look of your house from the street looking at it. So you could change the backyard, you could change the back of your house, you could change the inside of your house. But a registered landmark, you must remain the same. If your house is designated a landmark spot, that's when you cannot touch anything.
Wow.
So there are very few of those. Austin House would be one of them.
Sure.
You could not update the kitchen there.
The Conference House.
The conference house.
Right.
You cannot just change the kitchen. But you find some of these registered landmarks, you just can't change from the street in.
Right. So good. So we got a little bit of a home lesson. We learned about Westerly Park, or formerly Prohibition Park, and talked a little bit about the history that exists within our neighborhoods and the areas where we live. And that's what the show is all about, locally grown. Thank you so much for tuning in.